What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Seven back here after several months of hiatus. I got here some amazing news. It may not really be that amazing, to be honest with you, but it is news. It is something coming out of the Splinter Cell Ubisoft camp that we can put to use, and something that gives us a little bit more of a look of what is going on behind the scenes with this new Splinter Cell remake. Now, before we get started, I just want to make a caveat. I know that my mic sucks. You know it. I know it. I have not had my Blue Yeti microphone set up ever since back in May when I moved. In case you guys don't know, I ended up moving. It had a whole big life change. I finished up college and everything, so now I moved and everything, and I just have not unpacked my Blue Yeti microphone. So I'm using my Logitech Pro X2 headset. Hopefully the microphone's not too bad. I'm going to edit it up and try to make it sound a little bit better than it does raw. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Just in case you've been living under a rock, Ubisoft, I would say back in 2020 or 2021, announced that basically they're going to be remaking the original Splinter Cell. Basically, this is not a remaster. This is a complete back to basics sort of reboot, complete reboot of the franchise. They're going to go back to basics of stealth and linearity, all that good stuff that we like about the original Splinter Cell. At least a lot of us old fans. A lot of new fans may or may not be down with that. I'm not too sure. So yeah, they announced that they're making a new game and that basically they're going to be going dark for a little while. They gave us a couple of tidbits of information. They gave us some concept art. They gave us some other stuff, and a little promotion trailer, and that's about it. And they've gone dark for now, and basically we're at their mercy. We're waiting on them to give us more information. Now, about a year ago, Ubisoft announced that the Splinter Cell remake game director is going to be leaving Ubisoft, which is not a very good sign if you're a Splinter Cell fan. It tells you that likely things behind the scenes are probably kind of going crazy. There's some turbulence going on behind the scenes with the game development, so that's not a good sign. This is back in last October 15th is when we got this information that the head director who is leading the Splinter Cell remake has left Ubisoft. Now that's a pretty worrying sign already, along with the fact that a lot of people are just skeptical that Ubisoft is going to ruin the game and not have this remake live up to the hype. We have some brand new news coming out of a leak coming out of Ubisoft. We've got one piece of weird news, I would say, and then we have one piece of, I would say, pretty bad news. Let's go ahead and get the bad news out of the way, and then we'll move to the kind of weird news, I guess, about this whole thing. I'm quoting from GameRant.com. I'll post a link in the description. The Splinter Cell remake has been internally delayed, according to a new report from a well-known insider. Already, that's a pretty big yikes. That's a pretty big sting. That's a pretty big hurt for a lot of the Splinter Cell community. This is not exactly what we would want to be hearing about 3 or 4 years in. We'd be wanting to get some good news, like the game is finishing up the beta stage or alpha stage, and then they're going to go into testing and fine-tuning and all this kind of stuff. That's the kind of news that we would want to hear. Unfortunately, according to GameRant.com, the Splinter Cell remake is reportedly nowhere near done. The game is not in great shape right now, and this is the primary reason why this game has not been talked about that much by Ubisoft. Now, myself, along with probably many of you, were really expecting to see something coming out of Ubisoft Forward this year. However, we didn't see anything at all, no indication whatsoever that Splinter Cell was even being created. They could have dropped a teaser, a 5-second teaser. They could have dropped anything, and they dropped pretty much nothing. So anyways, this insider is basically saying that the reason why this game has not been talked about is because it is not in great shape right now, and we don't know when it's going to release, although development is expected to continue. So that's a pretty big bummer. Let me move on to our kind of weird news before I come right back to our bad news. Ubisoft is supposedly working on another Splinter Cell project, a remaster of Splinter Cell Blacklist. The original plan was for this game to be released in 2024. The company was supposed to announce this back in July. It's now October. The reason Ubisoft did not announce it is unclear. I am not too sure why they would be remaking Splinter Cell Blacklist. As far as I know, Splinter Cell Blacklist is not necessarily the most beloved game to the franchise. I personally think that Splinter Cell 1, 2, and 3 could use a actual remaster for this generation. We last got a remaster for the PS3, I believe. The Xbox didn't even get any sort of remaster. I think that those original games are really due for a remaster. I'm not too sure I understand the logic behind remastering Splinter Cell Blacklist. My guess would be that originally they were expecting to sort of announce these two games side by side, the remaster and the remake, to maybe get people hyped up, maybe get people back paying attention to Splinter Cell. That would be my guess, but I don't really see the logic behind, trying to remaster this game. It has been out for about 11 years now. It's not particularly a hated game, but it's also not very well liked as well. But going back to the original bad news, which is that the Splinter Cell remake is getting delayed internally. I think that this could be seen in a couple different ways. I think that number one, whenever a game gets delayed, it means that they are not looking to rush this game out so that it's a buggy mess and that it's a financial disaster. Okay, so it's always good when a company really decides to delay something because, well, most of the time it's a good sign when a company wants to delay something because it shows that they don't want to get a rushed product out there. But on the flip side, the other way to look at this is that this game is in shambles, and whenever a game's in shambles, it is definitely possible that a game like this gets scrapped. It's possible that this game can't recover from being in shambles. It's possible that this game can't necessarily recover from losing its, head director. So from that light, it could be a really bad thing that this game is getting delayed. Now, I also released a video earlier talking about how Ubisoft has been struggling to sort of find its footing. They really haven't released a new game in the past couple years that has been a hard-hitting game that exceeded sales expectations. The latest Far Cry's, the latest Assassin's Creed's, any other game that Ubisoft has made recently really hasn't blown anything out of the water in terms of financial expectations. So Ubisoft is worried about rushing a game out, especially a game like Splinter Cell that they've already been kind of worried about releasing. One of the reasons why they've been so hesitant with Splinter Cell is that they don't really know what kind of market is out there for this game. They feel like a lot of the video game market is looking for a lot of actiony, blow 'em up, type of video games. Stealth games in the way that the original Splinter Cell trilogy was created. Ubisoft feels that it's pretty hard to market Splinter Cell because it's just so different than a lot of the games that we're used to today. Shadow, hide, cat and mouse type games are not nearly as popular as they were in the early 2000s. Then again, we don't really have that many games out there now that are very, very stealth based that are similar to Splinter Cell, so it's a little bit hard for Ubisoft to sort of gauge whether or not this game would be a success or not. My whole point is that I think that Ubisoft sees Splinter Cell as something a little bit risky. When they do focus groups for these kinds of games, the first thing that playtesters want to do is pick up the gun and start shooting people when that's not necessarily the point of the game, although that option is there for you. So there you have it. Unfortunately, this is the news that we're looking at now today for the Splinter Cell remake. Unfortunately, we're probably not going to see this game for, I would say, at least another 2 to 3 years, maybe more. Hopefully next year Ubisoft can at least give us some sort of trailer, some sort of teaser, something to look forward to, so that we can keep the excitement up and so that we can really have something to look forward to. Another downside is that as time goes on, Michael Ironside, who is the original voice actor for Splinter Cell, is getting older. It may very well be that Michael Ironside might not be in the right physical shape to do the voice acting for this game if this game has to wait another 4 to 5 years for it to release. I can't remember if Michael Ironside is set to return for this Splinter Cell remake. However, that is a pretty big concern right there. But anyways, that's the news, everybody. Thank you so much for making it through the video. Please let me know what you think. Ubisoft and Splinter Cell have had a pretty big roller coaster of the last couple 4 years. They've had a roller coaster of an entire franchise. Started off pretty strong. The first 3 games were, pretty well received. People really liked those games. And then they had, a series of games that didn't really do that well with the fans. Ubisoft and Splinter Cell, they've had a bit of a identity crisis. So, with this remake, it's an opportunity for Splinter Cell to redeem itself. So this game is going to be very important for Splinter Cell to sort of reassert its identity. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Please check out my other videos. I do have other videos on Splinter Cell. I will be covering this as time goes on and as the news comes out. So please subscribe and look forward to that. Otherwise, peace out, everybody. It's your boy 7 with a really, really bad microphone signing off. Have a good one, everybody.